going on? So yeah, all 4 day was good. Car went really good all day. It did 13.3 seconds down the quarter mile and 255 horsepower on the dyno, which I'm stoked with. Really happy with it. Dead standard engine, just 10 psi on a ball bearing turbo. So real happy with that. It had some idling issues. So I just had to turn the idle up a bit, but it's idling high now. I think it might be from the intake hose to the turbo from the MAF sensor is just a piece of flexi hose, and I think it might have some air leaks in it, so it's getting some unmetered air there. And also the air filter needs a shield because I've just got it up underneath that wheel arch, and if I hit a puddle, it's going to splash the air filter. So I wouldn't mind fixing those two things in this video. Alright, so that's it, all done, finished, and I'm not real happy with it. I'm just going to throw it in the bin. Obviously that's meant to sit on an angle like that, it's meant to go up against, meant to go up in there like that, but I'm not happy with it. I'm just going to get one of those shields off of eBay that just sort of cover half the pod filter. But yeah, just rip this off now and wait for that shield to come. Alright, so I've cleaned my workbench down and I've got a miter box, some new hacksaw blades. I think that might be the best way to cut this thin aluminium, just because the drop saw I think is going to cut it on a bit of an angle and it's going to need filling, and I think this is probably the best way just to cut the nicest, straightest cuts. And I've also got a TIG welder here, which I've never done TIG welding before, so keen to have a crack at it. I've got all scrap aluminium and shit here to have a practice before I start cutting, but yeah, plan on starting off by making this intake pipe. I plan on maybe bringing it down the front here, along here, and then back into the turbo. See what we can do with this. I'm also going to have to take this coolant line off, because I've got a feeling this is going to definitely hit it, and I prefer this to be all done nice and neat to begin with, because it's going to be the last time I want to do it, and I'll worry about this afterwards, whether I've got to extend this out to go under this, or I'm going to chuck a different radiator in it anyways. I found one that's wider off of like a V something Commodore FB, I don't know what Commodores are, but it's about this wide, so that should move the fitting over here a bit further as well, which I'll worry about that later. And now like that, I'm going to have to move the dipstick line, but that'll be pretty easy. And yeah, that'll pretty much be it. I've started from scratch, learning how to TIG weld aluminium with lots and lots of fuck ups, and sort of got good at it. Well, not good at it, but acceptable at it. Managed to weld a whole pipe together. Now if we go over to the car, whoops, that was my seat. If we go over to the car, you can see the bit that I've welded up and where it's going to go to. Again, not the prettiest weld, but you can't see it and it'll hold. So I've got the new radiator sort of mocked up. She's sitting a bit high. The bonnet does still just shut. I do have maybe 40mm gap for the sway bar. So what I'm going to do, what I need to do is chop this L bracket right here and then bend it from here. I'm going to try and bend this down to match sort of the angle of the radiator. Alright, so that's a bit of a mock-up of it sitting in there, bolting with 2 bolts on either side. It's just like a bit of a tray for it to sit on. And if I sit it in there, quite nice and level. Yeah, pretty happy with it. It clears the sway bar by a couple of mil all the way along. So yeah, it clears the sway bar and sits as low as possible. Can't really get it better than that. Not too bad for a third go. Loving it. Probably going to leave this video here. It's probably getting a bit long. But yeah, next video I'm probably going to make up some brackets here to bolt the radiator in at the front, at the top here. Seems like probably the best spot to do it. And we'll start making the pipes work as well. But yeah, that's where she's going to sit. It looks pretty good to me. I like it. It's neat. Big thanks to Unwise Performance for all the piping. Got it to me within 2 days and cheaper than anyone else. So I'll chuck a link in the description where you can check out their website, and they're getting more and more products every single time I check. So if they don't have anything, shoot them a message and they can probably get it for you, and it'll probably be cheaper than anywhere else as well.